Hi everyone, this is Jeannie Hughes. This is my curriculum field-based project for EDS 708. So to start my presentation, I was going to first talk about my focus school, which is Florence High School, which is where I teach. It's located in Florence, Alabama, and it's part of the Florence City Schools district. I only looked at the students that were in high school. So the high school where I teach is actually grades 10 through 12. There's approximately 1,037 students. Now, the world languages curriculum actually is involved in students in grades 8 through 12. So in all those grades, we have around approximately 470 language students, and they take French, Spanish, and Latin. Now, for the focus of this CIP, we're only going to focus on French and Spanish students, and we're only going to focus on levels 1, 2, and 3. I did not include Latin in this. Our Latin students are a very small population of our students, and they represent about the top 5% of school. So their reading comprehension far exceeds the other students in the school population. In developing this plan, we collaborated with a CIP team. So to begin, the CIP team are the world language teachers, and these are all the teachers that are in Florence City School District. So these will be at Florence High School, Florence Freshman Center, and Florence Middle School. So they are Hannah Brake, who teaches Spanish 2 through AP, Molly Daly, who's at the Freshman Center. If you're not familiar with the Freshman Center, it actually shares a campus with the high school. She teaches 1 and 2 Spanish. Ms. Anna Todd, she teaches Spanish 1 and 2. Myself, Jeannie Hughes, I teach French 1, 2, 3, and 4, and occasionally AP. Dr. Banks, he teaches Latin 1 through AP. And then our two kind of leaders of our CIP team, our assistant principal, that's Miss Culver Davis, and our instructional partner, which is Jennifer Butler. So what is the goal for this CIP plan? So in looking at the CIP plan, I looked at basically what were the needs with our language students, and then I got in touch with Miss Culver Davis, who's our assistant principal, and she suggested that we align the CIP plan's goals with the kind of overall school goals in Florence's 90-day plan. So what did we do? So the goal for the plan is to increase the percent of students that meet or exceed their target goals on the reading portion of the 2020 National World Languages exams, and specifically we're looking at the French and Spanish national exams in levels 1 through 3. So what's our documentation of need? So as I said earlier, I talked with Ms. Culver Davis, and she said it'd be a great idea to reinforce the overall school goals on reading on the ACT. And when we looked at the ACT data, we found out that only 44% of students met their reading goal. So in creating this goal, it's going to kind of piggyback on that and actually help the overall school goal of improving their reading. So for world language, and specifically, only 67% of French and Spanish students met their reading goal in their respective world language exams. So I took the language exams for 2018 because last year we did have students take them, and unfortunately it was during virtual learning, so I can't really rely on those and statistics, and we had a lot fewer students take the test than normally would have. So why did we choose this? So in order to prepare our students to be college and career ready, this number should be higher for our students in reading, basically to take CLEP tests and ACTFL tests to get college credit and to be ready for the AP exam to get college credit for that. And the goal is to increase their reading proficiency in levels 1, 2, 3 of world languages. Excuse me. So I had two objectives. The first objective was to increase the percent of students meeting or exceeding their target goals on the reading portion of the 2020 World Languages exam by 5% for levels 1 through 3. And the second goal was to familiarize the world language teachers with reading strategies that they could use through different professional development opportunities. So we chose the world language exams as our assessment. Why do we choose that? First of all, they're aligned with ACTFL proficiency levels, and on the left here I've kind of shown you a diagram of the proficiency levels in foreign language. Second, it's a national exam, so when we get data from it, it can rank our students per our school, per class, and ranks them on how well they're doing in the state and how well they're doing in the nation. And it's also developed by national organizations. So the French one is developed by the AATF, which is the American Association of Teachers of French, and Spanish is developed by the American Association of Teachers of Spanish and Portuguese. They're also a multiple choice format, which we liked because similar to the ACT, it's also in the multiple choice format, so the two assessments align in that way. Here's a little bit of example of the world language exams. Level 1, if you notice, they're kind of focused on short answer. They use a lot of diagrams and infographics. Level 2, the level of difficulty gets a little bit more challenging. The paragraphs are a little bit longer. There's more vocabulary structures. And then in level 3, it's more complicated, more advanced grammatical structures, more advanced vocabulary. So that's an example of the 3 languages. So the exam does a really good job of mirroring the ACTFL proficiency levels to the world languages exams. These examples are from the French national exam, but as I looked at the Spanish national exam, they're also similar. One difference in the Spanish national exam is that a lot of the instructions are in English. So when we're doing our reading strategies, it's a good idea to teach that academic vocabulary. So for my CIP strategy number 1 was to meet quarterly with the assistant principal and the instructional partner to identify strategies, professional development opportunities, and to discuss progress. So we would meet in the beginning of the year to kind of figure out what professional development opportunities are going to be, what are different strategies that they're aware of for reading that we can use, and then quarterly as the year progresses to meet and discuss how we're moving towards our goal, how our students are progressing, and if there are any kind of learning gaps in their knowledge. For the second strategy, this revolves around professional development. So for this one, teachers will attend professional development workshops to learn strategies for improving student reading proficiency. An example of one of those conferences that's done in the South for language teaching is COLT. It's a very good organization that we could go to. There's also some that are in Alabama, and there's some that are in Nashville. For my CIP strategy number 3, we would have bi-monthly world language department meetings. So we would review the data. We would discuss what these new strategies are, discuss implementing them and the timeline. We would align vertically with our different levels of 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then identify if there were any kind of learning gaps or any students that were in need of additional instruction. For our 4th strategy, we would pull relevant high-interest text for the students. So from our website, from our textbook, be using technology for that, and from the internet. Just kind of gives them something to help expose them to a wider array of vocabulary and pick up the volume of reading that they're doing. And the last strategy is number 5. So after we figured out what the weaknesses were, then the teachers and our team will differentiate instruction to target low-achieving students. They'll instruct them in small groups to identify key details, learn academic vocabulary, and aid in overall comprehension skills. So what is my reflection of this process? So I had some strengths, weaknesses, and then improvements for next year. So in reflecting upon the curriculum improvement plan, I felt that there were definite strengths and weaknesses associated with it. First, I thought that the overall goal of the CIP was a really good goal. The world language exams changed their format 2 years ago to put more emphasis on reading, listening, and less on grammar. So this new format is more in line with the ACTFL proficiency guidelines. But showed that we had definite weaknesses among our students in reading. So in addition to improving foreign language reading, the overall goal also helps to reinforce the school's 90-day plan to improve reading on the ACT. In our 90-day plan, teachers were to incorporate an ACT-type question in their weekly lesson plan for foreign language that had to do with reading. So even though our reading passages are different languages and the strategies are similar. Secondly, a second strength I think in this process were the strategies that I proposed. So in the first one, we had our assistant principal and instructional leader who could give us their expertise and knowledge. And both of them have experience in teaching English, and they're really good about using diverse strategies. Also, I thought that they could hold us accountable for implementing the goals and strategies in a timely manner and for using differentiation. In the second strategy, which was professional development, our teachers benefit from not only attending professional seminars, but a lot of us are members of different state and national organizations, different groups on the internet that can give us advice and kind of act as a soundboard for our different approaches. The third strategy, I think, is really the strength of our team. We have a great diverse team with different voices, lots of experience, different grade levels, and that's a strength that we can kind of draw upon. And then the last two strategies in this I thought also represented strengths. The fourth one focused on making reading relevant by using high interest topics from current events. And lastly, using differentiation with our small groups. So for weaknesses, I thought that collaboration this year was a little bit different because of the pandemic and having to do things over Zoom and phone. Personally, I operate better if I can just meet with somebody, and also if I have more time to kind of reflect on the process. So if I were to do this differently, I would meet with everyone a little bit earlier, and I would collaborate with all of the world language teachers. I was not able to get in touch with all of them this summer. I would also select different percentage goals for improvement based on the language taught and the level. It's usually easier for students to improve their reading comprehension, for example, in level 1, due to short passages and use of informational charts, than it is when they progress to level 2 and 3, which is a lot more challenging. So lastly, in designing this curriculum improvement plan, I think it's been really good. It's helped me focus more on what our needs are in the department and how we can address them. So far as next year, improvements for next year is going to be different because of COVID. We're going to come in and we're going to have to, off the bat, figure out what our gaps in learning, because they're going to be without foreign language, the majority of them, for 4 or 5 months. So for next year, I think it's really going to have to really fine-tune our teaching, start the assessments at the beginning, and figure out what we're going to do for next year. Thank you.